Joe, great to see you.
Great to see you too, Joe.
I appreciate you taking some time to catch up with me. I think a lot of our viewers are probably familiar with you and Liongard, but also there are going to be some new viewers who are tuning in for the first time and hearing a bit about the company. So I want to do this conversation in two parts. First part is the funding news and what that means overall. But then after we cover that a bit, I want to rewind and give companies that are new to Liongard a little bit of background on the company. Does that sound good?
That sounds awesome.
All right, great. So timely news. You've just lined up Series B funding. I think the lead investor was Updata Partners.
That's
How
right.
did you connect with them and how are you going to leverage the money?
Yeah. So we actually connected with them through our Series A partner, which was TDF Ventures.
Hmm.
And so there was an initial introduction, and we went through a process where we met with several different groups, and we really kicked it off with Updata Partners. There's a fellow named Carter Griffin, who's over there that's been leading the efforts on their side. And he really developed a strong relationship with me, along with the rest of their team with our group,
Hmm.
and we saw alignment with what they were interested in doing, what they saw in the company, and what we were trying to achieve, and what we continue to achieve specifically with the MSP industry. So excited about that. They also had some experience, with both technology, IT use cases, as well as some MSP experience as well, and just managed services in general with some of their prior portfolio companies and current ones. So from that standpoint, we thought they're a great partner for us.
That's
More than just money, it's it's experience, and it's input, to help us really scale.
That's great. That's great. Now, you mentioned this is the Series B. There was also a Series A before this, naturally, and those partners from the Series A, they're still participating in the Series B, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that's TDF Ventures, and so they're still participating. So that's Jim Pastoriza and the crew there, and they've been invaluable to us in terms of just forging our path, over the last year and a half. So it's been an amazing relationship with them, and they've really shown through even through this Series B process, and all of what's going on out there as being just amazing. And so it's a big part of how we chose Updata as well. We saw that alignment in a similar way, and really just felt like there's some just a strong rhythm and stride that we could maintain by bringing them on as well.
Great to hear. Great to hear. So if I'm a partner listening to this, what does this mean to me? How is Liongard going to evolve or accelerate how you're working with partners?
Yeah. So, for those that are familiar with this, there's, we've tried to make a splash in the industry in a short period of time, and really, have, grown at a fairly rapid pace. And so, what we're going to use the funds for is to continue to reach out to MSPs, really extend and really scale out our roadmap,
Hmm.
and really push the envelope there. This is a time for us to double down. We see a changing landscape. We've always said that there was a changing landscape in IT. That's one of the premises of what we chose to address with our platform, and we see it happening right now. With work from home, with so many changes happening in the industry. So our intention is to drive that product roadmap forward, really improve the product, serve our customers even better, support them better, everything from onboarding all the way through, just ongoing relationships and account management, and making sure that our partners are leveraging our platform to its ultimate capabilities. So we're excited, and we really see this as positioning us to accomplish that. And really, using it as a springboard, for the roadmap, as well as being able to support our partners.
Yeah, great to hear. So one more question about the funding, then I want to talk a little bit about the company history and the partner journey. But on the funding note,
Hmm.
we're recording this on May 13th, 2020. We're in the height of the sort of pandemic mindset here in the US and elsewhere in the world, of course. With that in mind, did that impact your journey on funding? Did the temperature change in the funding market or your approach? Because you did the Series A long before this, and now you're in Series B. Anything different?
Is that a rhetorical question, Joe? Yeah, I agree with you. It was interesting. It was
Yeah.
interesting because the process, we started the process prior to things really hitting on the pandemic, and so as we were going through the process, all of this transpired, and really what it made us really do is look inwardly at, okay, well, what are the things that we can, help our target market, our MSPs, with? What are the tailwinds in terms of what our value propositions, are for our customers, our partners, and so that's really what it really had us do, is to really look more inwardly at that and share that, with those that were interested in specifically Updata. And then show them, what it is that we're seeing in the industry. And a big part of this is that the MSP is considered an essential business. They're there to support customers in one of their most important needs with technology. This is not going away. This continues to be very critical. And so for the MSPs to also be an essential and critical business, that's it's good news for those that are servicing those partners, and it's great for the MSPs themselves, that they are there. That's not to say that we are going to experience struggles in the short term around what's happening out there, but aside from that, really it really did force us to think inwardly.
Yeah. Actually, one more question comes to mind on the funding side. Did Updata understand the MSP model and its value and the opportunity off the bat, or did you have to do some whiteboarding and explain it?
No, they're already very familiar with it. So they understand the industry. This is one of the things that we made sure as part of the process in working with folks that are going to get involved with the company, that they have an understanding of the MSP industry. It's unique, right? This, and trying to train somebody or teach somebody about the industry from a fresh standpoint, it can take some time, and we're moving at what I would consider light speed, and there's a lot happening. From that standpoint, they're familiar with the industry. They're familiar with what's going on. They're familiar with what we're doing. So it was refreshing to talk to them and have them really just get it.
Right.
And so we could really dig into the business.
Got it. Okay. So I think I have a good feel for why you did the funding, where the money's going. I want to introduce some of our listeners to the backstory of Liongard. What originally inspired the company's launch?
Yeah. It all starts with this shiny head right here.
Yours or mine, I was going to say. Yeah.
I think I've got a little more glare on mine.
Yeah.
Backstory, I operated an MSP along with business partners, and started as early as 2001, back before we really called ourselves managed service providers, and operated that business for 12 years until we decided to sell the business, and then stuck around for 2 more years. And during that time span, for those that have managed IT during that time period, we saw a very, very dramatic shift and change in what we were managing and what we were providing our customers as MSPs. And so I observed that personally. We had the horrible approach of never saying no to our our customers. We wanted to drive our revenue up. But what we did out of that is we learned a lot. We learned very early on about managing cloud infrastructure and Office 365 and going up the application stack. But what we realized is we didn't have the same level of visibility and automation into this rest of the stack. And that's where I lost a lot of my hair, and would really work with our teams to document that infrastructure, keep track of it, make sure that it was configured properly. And so once we, myself and Vincent Tran, my co-founder, both of us who were at that MSP, decided to found Liongard, we went off to solve that problem. We said, okay, well, we need to address this issue of the technology landscape changing rapidly, and that the MSP really needs a platform that looks across all this complexity and provides visibility to solve, basic visibility. We call it documentation in the MSP arena. We want to document those systems, but keep them up to date so that we know that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. I always say CEO to service desk in an MSP, they're familiar with what's going on. And so from that standpoint, we've gone off to, achieve this goal, right? And that's what our platform does. It really does increase that visibility, and our partners speak to the value around everything from Office 365 to Azure, all the way down to Active Directory or, SQL Server databases. These are the things that go far beyond the endpoint, where, we're driving value for our partners.
So with that journey, when I think of Liongard, I think of automation, I think of visibility, and the MSPs really seeing what's going on overall. Has your R&D journey evolved at all? As I see it, the MSPs keep finding new use cases for Liongard. So how have you addressed that through your R&D?
Yeah, no, when we hit the market, we were talking heavily about automated documentation, right? And that's what it was about. And that was under the umbrella of visibility, and it was around really taking, your most expensive technical resources out of having to manually document all of these various systems, but go much further as well. So when we think about baselining the environment, and then from there, understanding how things change over time and keeping that up to date, well, that's lights out, with our platform. Because what we're doing is we're constantly inspecting the systems under management, and we're capturing that information. And so what we've seen out of that is first solving this automated documentation use case. Then our partners asked us, well, can you let us know when it doesn't meet a certain criteria? So this is important to us. So it's awesome. We've got this baseline now. But maybe I don't want to always look at that documentation. I want to be able to be alerted the moment something goes to X or goes to Y. And so our actionable alerting came along. Right. And from there, the partner said, okay, well, I want to be able to pick and choose the things out of this information and be able to create my own views of that information and be able to report on all of this. And so now we're heavily on that path of using what we call metrics to drive everything in the platform. So you can pinpoint anything, whether it's number of privileged users or, whether there's brute force attempts, you name it, any type of configuration or state that exists in those systems. We want to have a metric on it, and that's what we've gone off to do. So then you can create alerts on it. You can generate views in the system so that you can look across all of this, because what is an MSP's challenge? They have to look across not one customer environment. They have to look across potentially 20, 50, hundreds. So any problem is multiplied. So our focus is on making that process easier for them, so they can solve whether they're out of spec on Office 365 licenses and got unassigned licenses sitting around, whether they have configurations not set up properly. And that's where we've seen this thing transform. And what you're seeing us do is talking about three things: document, audit, and secure those systems. So we're transitioning to those use cases, and we've learned that from our partners, that the auditing of billing and the auditing of those systems is critical, as well as the securing of those systems is critical. So you're seeing us talk more about NIST and the CIS controls and how they map to what it is that we're providing in terms of our platform. So that's the transformation you're seeing us make.
Now, when you talk about systems, in the classic MSP world, when we spoke about systems, it was monitoring PCs and servers. But fast forward to present day, when you talk about systems, is it basically everything in the IT stack?
Yeah. So that's a good point of clarification. So for us, it's important to note, for us, a system is anything that an MSP is responsible for managing, or an opportunity for an MSP to manage something new. And so what that means is that, whether it's Office 365, whether it's Azure, AWS, an internet domain, a TLS SSL certificate, network infrastructure, SQL Server, Active Directory, some of the server infrastructure, as far as inspecting that at a deep level. To us, we see all of this, and we think that it's extremely critical for an MSP to have visibility into all of it. You know, we know that the RMM has done an amazing job at the endpoint, and the value proposition was there. We see the same value proposition for the rest of the stack, and the same challenges exist where no one wants to manage this stuff in spreadsheets or manually do this. Let's put an end to that. You know,
Right.
It is 2020, and it's time to have automation in place so that you can get out of that. And that's what our partners see. It's like, wow, I don't have to do this anymore. I can capture this
Right.
information. I can alert on it. I can report on it. That's so critical to them.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, and everything we're talking about here ultimately comes back to automation, I think, at least. So the final question for you is, how far along do you think MSPs are in the automation journey? And I'll put the MSPs, I'll put the MSPs into two categories. There's the MSPs that are running with Liongard, and then the MSPs that are yet to discover Liongard. Those two categories, how far along do you think they are in the automation journey? And then how much further do you think they can go? Let's just say for 2020, not even beyond 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of room for folks to take advantage of the automation capabilities out there, and largely it begins with what I would consider this, you know, the nascent stage of any type of automation, which is to replicate behaviors that we're doing manually. Right.
Yeah.
So let's find something that we do manually, whether it's you know, I need to gather data for you know, a quarterly business review, or I need to go do this review of users because this is something we promised our customers as part of our managed service. And how do we take any of those processes and turn them into as automated a process as possible? And so what we see most people perceive to be, well, there's no way you can automate this. You know, there's so many processes involved, and this involves pulling information from this system and doing this and doing that. And we feel that, you know, if you can approach it from a novel way like we have, where we think about the systems as data, that we can actually solve a large percentage of these manual processes and workflows that an MSP is having to conduct. And so I feel like there's a lot of room for folks that aren't working with us. And what we're discovering is, even with our own partners, they're continuing to grow and use more and more of what, you know, what's there. And our platform has given them more control so that they can make it their own. So we've seen partners use our platform to actually drive their own managed services, some new service lines around things like Office 365 monitoring, right? There are things that we're doing from an alerting standpoint and a review standpoint that support them in doing this. So my answer to you is there's a lot of room and a lot of value to provide the end customers, and especially in this environment that we're in. You know, we need to be in a position to showcase that end customer how we're securing this changing landscape, how we're managing this, and why it's so important for the MSP to be there to support the end customer. You know, this is the time where it's time to shine.
Yeah, it really is. Well, congratulations again on the funding. Thank you for a little bit of background on Liongard, and I wish you all the best for the rest of 2020.
Thanks, Joe. It's good chatting with you again.